Hello and welcome back to my show. I hope you're all well. Let's get to some news. Now, I want to tell you we got a lot of nuggets here. We're going to talk more about why cash is not trash and cash is king. And we're going to go into Bitcoin. This stuff about Bitcoin and the US dollar will shock you. So I suggest that you stay for the duration of the ride so you could get in on those assets and what you do need to do and what you do not want to do. Okay, so let's get to the news. So he had a guest. His name is Mark Moss. He's an investor and a Bitcoin enthusiast. He's a mass supporter of Bitcoin. So first they discussed about the US dollar, and Gammon said that the US dollar doesn't really go up and down, but that there are two compartments for the dollar. There's the domestic dollar and there's the foreign dollar, which is the euro dollar. And he said that when debt accumulates, what happens is that causes for an increase or more of a demand for the dollar. And then he also said in another situation where if we have low interest rates, that will create deficits or more debts in dollars, and that would in turn create more demand for the dollar, right, in the future. So he discussed that, and he mentioned how it's not really, like he said, it's not really going up and down the US dollar because it focuses on the relation to other goods and services, right, exporting, import. So they went over, and then George Gammon made a good point. He said that the US dollar has only went down 8% of its value. Now that's news to me. I didn't know that. I thought it was more than that. And he said how we need to think things through about our portfolio, not because our financial analyst tells us, you know what, go with the 60-40. We just do it. You gotta put some logic, common sense, do your research, get your education, and study on what you think is in your best interest or what goes with your gut, and go with it. We already know, so let's go to Bitcoin now that we've spoke about the dollar, and it is cash is king. There's more evidence. So these past few days I've been speaking about that, and here's more evidence from Gammon. Now let's go switch over to Bitcoin. We already know that there's 21 million Bitcoin remaining, right? But Gammon was going to his guest, or he was speaking to Mark Moss and telling him, well, there's a downside to Bitcoin. Did you think about fractional reserve? Now, fractional reserve takes us back to central banking, where in a way it is the same thing, where you deposit your money, which is this in this case is Bitcoin. You deposit your Bitcoin and you allow, sort of like the bank, to lend it out for people to use, right? So he says in itself, we're going back to the same issues that were created by central banking. And he said, Gammon said, let's do fractional reserve. First, he's like, let's do fractional reserve. And then we're going to go to derivatives. And then we're going to go to line swapping. And he said, soon you're back to the point where we are today that's caused so many of these problems, which are in central banking, is what he's talking about. So Mark Moss, Gammon's guest, said that, yeah, we already do fractional reserve, and there are risks involved, and you need to take responsibility once you put your money in. And the fact that you're getting a certain interest rate for that money. For example, he says 8% or 8.5%. They give you the 8.5%, but it's on a condition that they will go out and loan out your money to others. So you have to get that money. And if there was a bust, you'd lose the Bitcoin. So that's a risk you need to understand that you're taking. You got to take responsibility for that and know that ahead of the game, right? So he says that we have fractional reserve. People are centralizing their Bitcoin on exchanges and loaning those back out. If you want to deposit your Bitcoin, Mark Moss says, and they're fractional reserving them out, they are paying block 8.5% on your Bitcoin, and then they're loaning them out. He says, I'm taking my own personal responsibility, and you have to be okay with it. He's like, you need to take your own responsibility with it, right? And know the risks. He's like, you have to be okay with that risk that they're loaning them out for the return of 8.5%. They have to make a person has to make the personal decision. If they go bust and they could lose the Bitcoin. That'd be on them, on you and I, meaning. Okay, so and then Gammon, he touched on a big critical point, because I thought the same thing, that would they be able to create more Bitcoin, or is it just 21 million that exist, right? And Mark Moss said no, that we can't, no more creation of Bitcoin can exist. But Gammon stopped him in his footing, and he said we can go through fractional reserve and we can make more base money. You can create more. You can't make, he says, you can't make more base money, but you can make more broad money using fractional reserve. So you can make more Bitcoins out there. So that is an important point to keep in mind as well. And so I thought I had to share that with you. And also he said, I think that eventually, this is what Gammon said, even with Bitcoin, to get to a centralized issue, I don't know how you'll get there. I don't know if it's war, through war or through force, coercion, taxing Bitcoin, or having to pay your taxes with Bitcoin. Therefore, most of it is centralized to the government. So what he's saying is what we talked about before, when they said that the government could regulate it. Basically, they regulate the internet. Without the internet, there's no Bitcoin, right? No mining, no Bitcoin, right? So, and the infrastructure, the networks are all controlled and regulated by the government. So they could just pull the plug, or they can tax you on Bitcoin, and they can do it. I think he said in the video, 40%. If they wanted 40%, they could take 40% of the pie. What's left to you? They could decide they want more of the pie, because like, you know what? We can't control the Bitcoin, but we could regulate it. We could put a cap, and we could take, Uncle Sam needs his money, and you can't do anything about it at that point. So that's what they're saying. That's what I am deciphering, what their information is. And George Gammon said the dollar isn't yeah. Okay. I think we basically covered it. What I want to cover. We made this one a little short, but I think we covered a lot of ground there. Tell me, guys, what you think. Do you guys think cash is king? Why is that? Have you guys been hearing about cash, the value of cash going up, where a lot of Bitcoin enthusiasts or the news say that the value of the dollar is being devalued like quicksand. So what are you guys hearing? Are you guys hearing the same information I am? And what about the Bitcoin? What do you guys think about that? What George Gammon had explained, that, you know, there's a lot of risks involved. The government can put a cap on it, put regulations on it, tax you heavily on it. Those are capital gain taxes. What do you guys think about that? I like to hear, what's your experience? What have you heard? What do you know about it? Because this is something that we all should think together and you know, really evaluate. These are critical points. Yeah, they can make or break the, you know, deal with Bitcoin. So I want to thank you again for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful rest of your weekend. I look forward to giving you more content as I read and go through videos and beneficial stuff, because we want to believe that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that the grass is greener on the other side. We're not giving up hope. So there's no gloom and doom here. We got solutions, and we have the pros tell us about their thoughts, and then we kind of, you know, talk about it too. So I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, be well, and thank you for subscribing, liking, and all that cool stuff. Take care. We'll see you in my next video. Thanks again for watching. Bye.